Right guys, Mark Crossfield here, and today I'm going to look at the Callaway X Forged iron. That's the 2018 going forward model, and the TaylorMade P790, two clubs that you might be looking at to compare for your next new set. Welcome to all the Revolution golfers as well, thanks for joining. Let's give these a compare. We're on the course, see how they actually perform in this kind of real environment. Let's get stuck in. First thing to bear in mind, so the 6 iron and the 7 iron lofts of these two clubs, I think it might be within 1 degree of each other. I'll bring the lofts up for you. So you're not going to see the same number written on the bottom of each club because they're not the same loft. So for me to hit, say, 2 shots from here, I can't be using 2 7 irons because one won't reach and one would go too far. And I think this is always an interesting point, and I think one where maybe lots of people get a little lost. It really doesn't matter what number's written on the bottom. It's what kind of matters what distance you hit them. Because if this has 7 on and that has 6, this is no easier to hit if they're presenting the same dynamic loft. The only thing that might play its part is that the Callaway is ½ an inch, quarter of an inch longer as a 6 iron to the 7 iron length of the P790, so where that's playing more on loft changes and weight movement, Callaway X Forged is using more that classic combination of loft and length to get that desired distance. When we look at the top lines of the two, the Callaway wins if you want thin, slender lines. The P790 is a chunkier top line, but let's not forget the P790 has a slimmer brother as well, so this is one of a series of irons, the same way Callaway is. I think they're just ones that people will compare a bit in their heads. I was impressed the first time I hit these TaylorMades, and I still am. That does feel nice. It's a really good sound and then in turn feel off the face. P790 also still has some slots in it, filled in slots, so they are pulling on the technology that they've been developing over a few years. What difference that makes, you go and try. I personally over the years haven't seen a massive difference, but you're talking about kind of 0.2, 0.1, tiny little gains over time, and obviously they might add up to allowing you to squeeze a few more shots out of your miss hits, because remember, centered hits are pretty controlled. It's just those miss hits they're trying to bring up to that center hit limit is kind of where they want to get to. Not that they ever will, obviously, because as always these things are controlled. The TaylorMades also have the speed foam in there. Speed foam is a word that slightly trips me up. I mean, it is foam. I don't know where the fast thing comes from. Certainly going to help with sound. And again, like that shot there, I hit into this green. It felt good. It sounded good. Even though it's that kind of stronger iron makeup, it still gives you those feelings and semi-looks of that better player's club. If it's going to be a looking game, I mean, the Callaway does win that one for me. You know, in this kind of style of iron, I want this level of offset and I want that slender top line. It does have more club face down there than, say, the blades, which is nice, which steps it up that little bit more. But again, off the face, the feel between this one, short right, and the TaylorMade, there's kind of nothing in it. So if the feel is so similar, we are then boiling it down to maybe brand alliances and looks, then in turn feel, because those looks can, it's interesting when I test with golfers and students, they bring baggage always to the table, so they think a certain club should feel a certain way, and in their heads they almost make that happen. Little tight lie chip and run with the Callaway. The wedge shape of the X Forged is really nice. It would blend with your kind of better player wedges, that kind of idea, which is what you want from these clubs. You don't want this end too chunky. Nip that, lovely. Go in. Oh, stop now. Hit it a bit too hard. X Forged has progressive offset. It has the special groove to try and give you more spin, or control I should say, around those kind of different lies, those ideas. But at the end of the day, when you start looking at the numbers of these two clubs, your variable is far bigger than their variable. Really, it's going to be a case of you going and testing. For me at the minute, the Callaway just wins slightly on looks, but I do love the TaylorMade as well. This is the P series or family from TaylorMade this year, for me, has been their strongest. That is not a par. What is going on? I'm going to hit the 6 in the Callaway X Forged 18 and the TaylorMade P790. Should we have a good old-fashioned shootout between the two of them? TaylorMade to start. Remember, this loft is these lofts. I think we're in maybe 1 degree of each other. It's just a slight bit of length is all that's different on the shaft length. Get that pretty good. Just stay left. Yep, that's on. So let's see if we're getting pretty similar responsive distance control with the 6 in the X Forged. Because as I've said in other videos, distance control I still feel is one of the most underrated skills that people looking at clubs, your average amateur golfer, forget to kind of think about or certainly practice. Similar strike, in fact in a very similar place. Oh, they are close. Let's get up there and show you those. Close to each other, not the hole, unfortunately. TaylorMade 7, Callaway 6, holes all the way up there. And that's what I want. I want them going the right distance subject to how I hit them. I don't want any kind of sudden surprises on the golf course. Two pars because the 2 putts were okay, the 2 iron shots were average but did what I need them to do, go the appropriate distance for the strike I hit. So you can see the performance, there's so little in it. It's gonna boil down to which one I like the look of a bit better, and for you guys and girls, you know, that bit of brand alliance is not a bad thing. You can have that, you know, you do invest in these companies to a certain extent. Five iron, TaylorMade, Callaway 4 iron, slightly better hit just up there, but it was a better strike. So again, the long iron's falling into that distance pattern I want to see. P790 shorter irons again look good, offset almost kind of vanished completely. It is slightly thicker if we're comparing it Callaway, but to lots of irons it's still a very good looking club. Feels as good as anything. And if you're going to cast your net out and try and catch as many golfers as possible, P790 will do that, where the Apex Forged is going to go for that kind of higher group a little bit more. Obviously Callaway have other irons that are trying to cast the net. But I think as crossovers go, P790, there ain't many that kind of better than this. Looks good, feels good, but it's got all that design that TaylorMade are so famous for. Even if the speed foam is like really quick, speedy foam, it might be too quick for some, but I just don't know why they need to use those names. It's a good enough club without all that stuff. And the Callaway short irons again look great, thin top lines. It's that kind of better player look without a doubt. I think it'll offer a little less, becoming a little less crossover. As in, I think a few kind of 15, maybe 17 handicappers wouldn't even begin to think of this, but they might of the other one. But I wouldn't say that is a true thing that, you know, go and try them. That's always the best thing. It's about distance control, and if you get good distance control with these and you love the look of it, like I say to people, it doesn't really matter what handicap you're off. I've not really seen any particular difference in the data between these two sets of clubs. Like I said earlier, the variable of the player far outweighs as in because they're quite close. And try not to get too bogged down in the data presentation in these kind of reviews. You need to go and present your data. What's your dynamic loft? What's your speeds? Where are your strike patterns to work out which clubs might suit your feel, looks, eyes, games, sounds better. As you can see, the performance is so similar. It's going to come down to those little, tiny little things that you bring to the table. Oh, TaylorMade has the edge. Callaway needs its pine boots. Ow! that one under TaylorMade. Go with the chunkier ones, people. Always better. So when we look at these clubs side by side, you can see TaylorMade on this side just is that chunkier finish. X Forged has the noticeable kind of cutaway cavity, where P790, if you like, it's all going on under the hood. I would go for the thinner one, but you can see I've just made a birdie with the thicker one. Would that sway my decision? No, it wouldn't. I would go with what I would like the look of more, and that's the main point. What I like the look of, and that's why you need to, like I say, go and test, because you aren't going to particularly like or be filled with confidence from what I am. We're different players with different opinions, and we've grown up maybe in different eras. You're younger, you're older, whatever. You need to bring your baggage to the table and try. Both are good. I don't see any winning over on forgiveness as well, as in I don't see many clubs winning over on forgiveness unless you start going to hybrids. When you get ones this close, don't see anything. Two good forged irons, one with a lot of tech written in there, one that's kind of tour proven and being used in the X Forged. But you go and make your choices. Post comments down below. As always, speak to you soon.